And I'm back. So it has been a crazy month. I don't know if crazy is the right word, but definitely challenging. And we'll say that. And challenging mentally, emotionally, even physically, being sick for a week or so. But I'm back. I'm here. I'm going strong. I do have my ups and downs, mostly ups. And the reason why they are mostly ups at this point is because I have changed my perspective in pretty much everything that goes on in my life. And interesting enough, when you do that, when you learn a lesson, or at least the lesson has come to you and you are going through it, it provides a teaching moment. And it did this past week to a couple of my clients on changing their perspective and moving through tough situations. And so today I felt like not only with my clients, but also to give 5 ways to change your perspective and to move through negative thoughts, emotions, situations, and into really positive ones. And I do have notes, so you will see me kind of looking down, but hopefully not too much. I just want to make sure that I'm on track, that it makes sense because these 5 ways are definitely powerful things that I've also go through, but also see others go through as well. But first, before I go into the 5 ways, I want to give a little bit of a story of a background of I took a modern applied psychology course back in 2019. And one thing that stuck out. Now, listen, I absolutely love that subject. Psychology is just, I don't know, I just love it. Obviously, behavior change, all of that. So mindset, behavior change, cognitive, just psychology in itself is just what always drew me in all the way back in high school. But I digress. Again, going back to the notes. The one thing that stuck out to me and that is relevant in the topic that I'm going to talk about today, changing perspective, the instructor went through an image, and this image had all different types of people just standing around. And these people are in different times of their lives. There were children, there was adults, there was, nurses, lawyers, stuff like that, and they were all spread out. So there were some that were on the bottom of the image, some that were on the side, some that were like kind of up on a hill and just looking down. And what they're all looking at is the number 8. So just a number 8, like this big number 8, kind of like this huge. Say if there was a an art sculpture and it was a number 8. But these people are in this image, throughout this image, looking at this number 8 in a different viewpoint, meaning somebody that was on the left side sees it and looks at it on an angle on the right side. Somebody on the right side sees it on an angle on the left. Somebody from below looks up and sees it right there. Somebody from up top is looking down and seeing this 8. So they are looking at it in different perspectives. And what ends up happening is when we stay in that area, so to speak, our perspective is in just one viewpoint. Now, if somebody from, up on the hill kind of goes down to the bottom and looks at it, it's changing their perspective. So, really, that image, that visual, just said enough that we have the capability to change our perspective, to shift our mindset into, doesn't always have to be positive thinking, but just to understand the situation from a different viewpoint. So I tell you that as to obviously get set up for these 5 ways. And, really changing the perspective is also how we become resilient in the face of stress, in the face of grief, even good old perfectionism right here. We often have, and I said this before, we often have one view. And that viewpoint can really get us into trouble. Meaning, we could stay stagnant in the stress. We could just be bullish about certain conversations. And, it doesn't serve us right. So if we move ourselves around that number 8, and see it in a different viewpoint, see it in a different perspective, we can understand and maybe come up with aha moments in our own and move through situations a little bit better. So with that saying, the 5 ways to change your perspective. So number 1, know your worth and have confidence in who you are, what you offer. So this comes when we take things personally. We take situations, and we take advice, when we take, anything personally. Like even if you're doing a sales call and somebody is like, F you, you suck, whatever. um, it doesn't serve us to take it personally. What the other person is thinking or feeling or saying has to do with them and not you. And there is this great book that I read a long time ago. Actually, I think I listened to the audio version, but it's The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And I will put that in the show notes. I'll even put there's a nice, cool image that just goes through the four agreements. And one of them is, do not take things personally. Now I'm paraphrasing, but you get it. Don't take things personally. And, again, when we know ourselves, when we are confident in who we are, again, what we offer, and confident in that situation of not only how it's going to turn out, because we don't know, we don't have a magic 8-ball, but it's just more or less like, I whatever is going on, I'm not going to take this personally. I'm not going to say this is my fault. I'm not going to say, it's all on me. I'm not going to begrudge myself. I'm not going to, and then just change that perspective of, okay, this is coming at me. But really, look at the situation as a whole. Look at who you are and what you offer in that situation. And what ends up happening is like, okay, well, given that the example of the sales call, well, okay, this person's having a crappy day. I get it. I have those too. And pretty much sometimes I'm on the phone with a customer service, berating them, and it happens. So it's one of these things where, okay, well, the next caller, I will not take it out on the next caller. So obviously brush it off, like, I got this, and just move through, move on, move to the next person. And so, but obviously what ends up happening again is when this happens over and over and over again, gets beat up, 10 things happen all at once, we tend to say that it's all our fault. We tend to then, when it's that negative kind of feedback loop, we look inward and we, at a point say it has to be us because look what's going on. But if you can change that quicker, again, knowing who you are, your confidence, knowing what you offer, you can flip the perspective and quicker. And that's why, again, knowing who you are, being confident, having that self-reflection, and just moving through it a little bit quicker. So that's number 1. Number 2, look at it from another point of view or from another person's perspective. Again, I referenced the image. Go and move to the left side. Look at it, in a different point of view. Meaning, say if somebody is to, we don't know what the other person is feeling or thinking, right? So if we're stepping back, so we kind of have our own way of moving through it, our defense mechanism. And when we do that, we shut ourselves from actually opening up our minds and really kind of assessing not only the situation, but the other person or persons, of what they're going through. So it's kind of being a little bit of empathetic in this circumstance. And it's just kind of, again, stepping back. What are they going through? What's going on in their mind? And sometimes, more than not, it could be worse than what you are going through. So it's kind of like saying, I get it. And then just having that empathy. But, obviously, feeling your feelings as well. And that's what I'm saying. Like you have the right. So if something was to affect you in a negative way, you have the right to feel that feeling, right? The anger, the hurt, the frustration, anything. You have that right. But then instead of ruminating in those emotions, taking those emotions out of the equation, stepping back and really see the situation at a whole. The people, persons, whatever the situation is, see it as a whole, and then kind of move through what you think is the best course of action. I think that's it for number 2. Yeah, so it's just basically when you change your perspective on the other person, you understand what they're going through. And again, it could be worse than what you're going through. And so it's an understanding. Number 3, enjoy the journey, not the destination. Now, I love this one. I love this one because it's fun. It's a fun thing to do, because a lot of times, and this actually came up this past week with one of my clients, we're always looking ahead. We're always looking 10 steps ahead of the end goal, right? If we all have goals, we all have things that we want to do or achieve. And we're always looking at that end goal. Like I want, personally, I want this many downloads on my podcast, or I don't know, just basically whatever that end goal is. I want to lose, 20 pounds, but I'm not seeing the weight. Change that perspective, meaning enjoying that journey of doing the work, of figuring things out, and you'll actually learn a lot about yourself. You'll learn a lot about who you are as a person, even things that you didn't even know you were capable of. And also, enjoying the journey, not the destination, is enjoying the small wins that come about instead of just always focusing on that end goal. Like, I didn't do enough. I'm not there. Yeah, you did. You're stronger than you were yesterday. You lost a pound or so, or you gained muscle strength, just as an example. So it's just really enjoying day to day tasks and day to day life to really figure out who you are and how you respond to the situation and to maybe challenges, maybe barriers that come up. How do you respond to that? Do you give up? Do you say, hey, forget it. I'm not going to do it. It's too hard. Or do you put your head down? You learn a little bit about yourself. You say, okay, the little, prayer or whatever. And you move forward. Because that end goal, yeah, sure, that's going to take some time, but it's also going to be a fun ass journey, because you are going to be even stronger and better as a person. And that end goal might not even be something that you even thought of, that, it could change. It could definitely change because of your growth during the journey. Let's see. Oh, yeah. And one other thing in enjoying the journey is that it helps us when we fail, right? When we fail, and this also, the reason why I bring this up is because this is something that my client was going through. She's afraid to fail. She was afraid that she was going to let herself down. And that's why, the day to day, minute, whatever shows up for us is important, because we all will fail regardless. If you think that you're perfect, I got news for you. No. And I'm one that's, not only, control situations, which we'll get to in a second, but also thought I was, I needed to be perfect. I need to look perfect. I need to be perfect. And it's freaking exhausting. I don't know about you, those perfectionisms out there. It's freaking exhausting. I can't do it. You can't do it day in and day out and expect results. And so when we step back and say, you know what, I'm not perfect, but I am going to enjoy this day and learn from what's going on. I mean, if it's a setback, how do I respond to the setback? Enjoying that journey and that destination, if it ever, gets there, will be even better. It'll be more of a celebration versus always looking at that end goal. Number 4, have faith and trust the process. Holy shit. Literally, this was a hard one. This is a hard one. And again, I just mentioned controlling the situations, right? Letting go of the outcome, letting go of your emotions, letting go of just what's going to happen, controlling that outcome, that controlling the situation. Have faith, trust that process of going through, again, enjoying the journey is going to work out. And you know what? It might not even work out to what you thought of in the beginning, but it's still letting go. So it personally, I, have done a lot of meditation in this, just because I had this one perspective on a certain situation. And when I let go, when I just released it to the universe, and you could do God, universe, Buddha, whatever you believe in. When you do that, you're saying to a higher being, a higher power, that, I can only do so much with this situation. The universe, there's something going on to where it is going to come together and work out for us. And again, it might not go along that same path, that straight and narrow path that we thought we were going to be on. Again, controlling that straight and narrow path, like, I must get this, I must do this, I have to, have this outcome, and just grip with all your strength. It is not going to serve you, because that grip can easily break you. And when you don't have faith, when you can't trust that process, it's going to never ending loop of, wanting a certain thing and going back to number 3, not enjoying that process, or not enjoying the journey, excuse me. Because we're not in the present moment. We're not saying, it's okay, I get this, I release all my emotions, fears, and just say, I leave it up to a higher being to teach me a lesson. And not teach me a lesson, but understand that everybody's going through situations, and that it will work out. It will work out. It always does. And when we can see or change our perspective to see the outcome as whatever it might be, and going back to number 1, confidence in yourself, knowing that, okay, I'm doing the best that I can. And that's all anybody or yourself could ask, then it just opens up. It opens you up to opens your eyes, your mind, to realize that the situation is not as bad as you think, and it will work out. So change that perspective as much as you can. Have faith and trust in that process. Um, Again, I'm just looking at my notes, just making sure I got everything. Number 5, last but certainly not least, is gratitude. We use the power of gratitude, change our perspective in being grateful in what we have. It's powerful. I'm going to give a little bit of a short anecdote, my own story. About 2 nights ago, as I was winding down for my evening, I was just, something came over me and I started bawling. And all that ruminated kept going in my life, or in my mind, was the stressors that were going on, in like a lot. There's a lot. But what I realized, of course, I sat in that discomfort, sat in that pain for a little bit, not long. I wiped my tears, and I realized that it's the fear and lack mindset that creeps in, and I say creeps like like a gremlin, creeps in and takes over your mind. And it just has this loop of, all of these things that you don't have in your life. And when we shift the mindset to gratitude, that helps us to realize what we do have in our life. And let me tell you, we have a lot. And also shifts the mindset of, there are others that, that are going through a much tougher situation. Again, I go back to clients, I go back to, friends, and we're all going through shit, for lack of better word, tough times. And when we kind of take a minute, take a step back, and realize and understand, hey, X, Y, and Z actually happened today. Or I'm grateful that, I don't know, my cat was loving. I don't know. I'm just putting, but it's just more or less understanding, like, I'm grateful for the coffee that I had to help me pull through this presentation, or I'm grateful for the time that I got to, present. I'm grateful for showing up for my clients. I'm grateful for that I can help others, because that will help me. I'm grateful for being able to mentor a youth. I'm grateful for, just so many things. I'm grateful for, actually, if we want to talk about real example, and they're all real, but I'm grateful for the time that I got to spend with my mom. I had 45 years to spend with her. Some people don't get that. Some people don't get even, their childhood to spend with their, mom or dad or something like that. So yes, the loss is there. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it'll come up. But when you change that perspective into, I had this time with her, all of these memories, and the lessons that you learn in moving through grief, whether it's a grieving of a, lost love, of a lost parent, anything, lost pet, anything. We look at the perspective of all of the wonderful times that you had, and you cherish them, because nobody's gonna live. No, nothing's gonna be forever. Things are gonna be challenging. Things are gonna come back in your life. Whatever that is. But always be grateful for the time that you have and the memories that you shared. That's why I always say, make sure that you are 100% there for that other person, the support system, friends, anything. Um, because every day counts. And it's in those, again, those little minute things that come up that we often overlook because we're always striving and doing and, we're not being. But having that gratitude kind of shifts our perspective into the wonderful times that has been had versus the loss. So, I think, yeah, that's it. So, 5 ways to move through, or to, excuse me, 5 ways to change your perspective, be resilient, and thrive. Hopefully, these 5 ways have helped you a little bit, or maybe you could take one or two the next couple weeks and reach out to me. Let me know which one of these 5. If you do all 5, would love to know that as well. I'm on Instagram. Handle is The Root of Our Health. Facebook, I'll post this on Facebook, so you can also comment on that. Even follow me, The Root of Our Health, and just let me know. Rate and review. That's another way you can also let me know what your takeaways were in this episode. If you like this podcast, we'd love to hear from you. And share with those that are going through some tough times. And, maybe there are certain things that they could also change their perspective in a way to move through tough times and a little bit easier and be more resilient. Again, I appreciate you spending your time listening to this, and I bid you well.